IVM.
Welcome to episode 46, Hadh Kar Di Aapne. We'll talk about why it's called Hadh Kar Di Aapne. Episode 46, 46, the doctor. Who knows who the doctor is? Sapre? Not your neighborhood coronavirus doctor. We're talking about Valentino Rossi. Sapre didn't have an answer, so he didn't even say anything. Yes. You're listening to me. My name is Shivram Parmeshwaran. I'm the star of this podcast. With me are my two punters. Please say hello.
Hi, Shivram.
That is Karthik Ayer's Surila voice. And the other
I am punter number 2.
Yes, punter number 2, credited in and as Gaurav Sapre. Today we have a fantastic episode, just like Govinda had in... Was he in Switzerland in Hadh Kar Di Aapne? Where all did he go?
He only was in Switzerland.
Switzerland. Karthik, have you watched Hadh Kar Di Aapne?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hadh Kar Di Aapne is basically the Hindi version for shambles. Like, you've crossed your limit.
I know what it means. I had no idea that it was a movie.
Also,
it
I don't know why Shiva's named this show Hadh Kar Di Aapne. I'm guessing he'll tell us at some point in time. But when I first read the name, I thought Hadh Kar Di Aapne is the movie where Govinda plays multiple roles. So he's similar to who's that guy in Liverpool? James Milner, right? Who plays so many roles.
I was actually talking about Arsenal because Arsenal ne ekdam hadh kar diya hai is baar. there is no shame left in that team. Anyways, we have a lot to cover on this episode. The EPL is finally back, so we had a good 12 games. But
Yes!
I think you would have possibly watched a couple of games more because now there are games every day and we're super excited. Madrid is back on top to the rightful place. Clearly, Ronaldo moving didn't really affect the La Liga or Barcelona's form. They're still second. And we'll close with a story from Russia. And you know every story from Russia has to be crazy. And this is one too. Just that it has one 17-year-old. There will be more.
Like most Russian stories, I guess.
Like most Russian stories, yes. That is absolutely right. So we will be back in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Football Shootball. We are still on episode 46, not 47 yet.
Are you going to let us talk like ever?
No, this is a monologue. We are 4 away from the 50 half century. Karthik, who has the most half centuries in the Indian cricket team ever?
Must be Sachin, no?
Because he has the most hundreds.
Yeah, so I'm sure that...
Do 100 count as 250s?
No.
They should, no? I mean, you've crossed 50 twice.
No. 50 twice is 100 once. That's the logic. Stick to the games that you know, Kho and football.
Correct. Kho is my favorite game, man. You just push someone and say Kho. And then Sapre, what have you been up to?
I am excited. I'm sleeping late, but now with the reason that the football matches are on, I did not watch the Madrid match last night because when you know the result, there's no point watching the match. But yeah,
Arsenal games. Good joke.
But very good joke. But yeah, exciting times, sir. I can't wait for Liverpool to finally have the courage to lift a trophy in front of an empty stadium and get done with it. Just like how we got done with Bundesliga. Now that Bayern Munich have become champions of the league, nobody cared, and now even people who cared don't care. Right, Karthik? Kho.
If you haven't told already, if you haven't figured this out already, Sapre is a United fan. Karthik Kho.
But here's the deal, yeah. The Bundesliga, there's still an excellent story there because Werder Bremen, they've been in the top flight longer than Bayern Munich. Shivram's head is in his hand.
You tell us the story. We'll tell you if it's excellent or not. Let's start with, I have a funny joke.
So Werder Bremen could get relegated, which is like big news. It's almost
Wait. Oxford is just calling. They want to change the definition of excellent.
Oxford directly. The true color में Oxford is calling it.
Sorry, go ahead with your shitty story. Sorry.
Yeah, no. But yeah, about nothing else has been happening. Yeah, I mean, I've had a bit of a stomach bug. So yeah, a little low on energy. But yeah, we'll get through this because there's football every day, like you guys said.
Also, it's a podcast, so you can take a break whenever you want to, right? Or whenever you want to.
Just don't. You don't have to tell us. Just take a break.
I mean, if there's an echo, I'm probably taking a break right now. So.
Yes, so we don't need that kind of echo. But what we do need is more than 1 point from Liverpool. Everton, pretty bad. Everton were very good. Liverpool were horrible. Without Salah, one-man team.
But here's the question I had for you, because you were like into this game. Yeah, like you were almost saying Liverpool don't deserve to be champions. Why did it matter so much to you, this game in particular, Liverpool-Everton?
No, I was actually scouting Everton players for my FPL team, which is doing well. So I know you can't immediately relate, but Sapre can. Sapre, tell us how well did you do over the weekend?
Yeah. It is exciting. Excellent news. This is excellent news, Karthik. With the two forwards that Everton have, Richarlison and who's the other guy? Shiva?
You clearly
Carlton.
Football.
Who is Carlton?
Carlton.
Lewis Lalton.
DCL.
Yeah. Both good, 23 goals between them, and they're playing Norwich next, who will concede goals from every angle. So yeah, from an FPL standpoint.
But how? You all are still not giving me the answer. The game finished 0-0. Neither Calvert-Lewin nor Richarlison did anything.
But they came the closest. So
you all are scouting them, like literally scouting them, like you're going to pick them for your teams.
See, honestly,
that's what you all have come down to.
That's what scouting means, Karthik.
Honestly, I was hoping that Liverpool lose this one, but the way Everton are missing chances, I told Shiva there's a chance that Liverpool might just nick it in the end, but they are so shitty that they couldn't. But it's not new. The last 3 times they've played at Goodison, it's ended in the 0-0.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
How many points do they need to be champions? How long can they?
I think another win, right? I think
just 3 more points, basically.
Yeah. So, but I think that may be contingent on City dropping. It's either 1 or max 2 more wins. Yeah.
So there is still chance this might go to the end of the.
I think mathematically, yes, there is a chance.
No, but quite honestly, I don't know what Liverpool are there for. They know they're going to win the league title. They probably need 1 win in the remaining 7 or 8 games. They're going to get that 1 win. They have nothing to play for. They have no reason even to keep fit because they're out of the Champions League. They're out of the FA Cup.
That explains a lot.
It's all about just lifting a trophy for Jordan Henderson and co. That's about it. And they're going to get that 1 win. There is nothing City can do to stop them.
Yeah, but they did do one thing right, which is dispatch Arsenal left, right, and center. Arsenal started with kids, ended up looking like kids. We'll get to another kid story later who actually did well. But the Arsenal team with Aubameyang right up front, he's blanked twice in a double game week. I hope none of you have him as captain. What a record. I mean, 2 games over the weekend. EPL's coming back. I get him in my team. 2 knots.
But I'll tell you one thing. I like how inclined this FPL people are towards Arsenal. Saka in the game that happened yesterday against Brighton had an assist, so he gets 5 points, but on the FPL chart it showed 7 points. So I'm very happy because I had Saka in my team.
He got 2 bonus.
For what? For losing a game?
Must be an assist to Pepe.
Yeah, assist to Pepe.
Yeah, for the goal.
But what a fantastic goal that was. Right?
The 1 goal Arsenal scored in 2 games. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, and it was a fun match, man. Even at the end with all that shithousery with Mope. How do you pronounce? Neil Mope. Him and Guendouzi going at it. Yeah.
Also called Troy Deeney.
But what did he came out and say at the end? He said Arsenal players need to learn humility.
No, especially that one player. I don't know why would you speak about Lacazette that way. He didn't even touch a ball.
See, Arsenal players need to get off Instagram. They need to get into practice and they need to start winning. So the best part is, before the game started, I was watching it with my friends separately, independently, in our independent homes. We were discussing it, and Brighton was the only team before they played Arsenal to not have a win the whole of 2020. I mean, even with the break and everything, although it stopped in March, Brighton had not won a game the entire year. But Arsenal were there to deliver. Arsenal have now delivered. Brighton have their first 3 points of the year.
Did Brighton get a double on Arsenal this season?
They did. The lucky few teams out of the 20. That have done a double on Arsenal. Arsenal are.
Yeah.
Hadh kar di Aapne, Arsenal.
But that Leno's injury seemed bad, okay, and it probably is the way he fell and the way Mopai went into him and the way he fell. But then I love the fact that when he's on the stretcher, he has the effort to stand up and start pointing his finger at Mopai saying, "You
standing up." But see, the funny part is we will never get to see the actual video because they weren't showing it on TV. And now there's no one in the stadium. So you'll never get the footage ever of what actually happened to his leg. Like, it's okay. I'm sure it's, gnarly videos, but I still want to see what happened, man.
It's just twisted. It's not as bad as some of the other ones that we've seen, actually.
Not as bad as Ramsey and Shawcross.
Not as bad as that.
That is why I think we should have Indian journalists and cops attending these matches because they send you pictures that you're not supposed to send or see.
Now this is getting into.
But Shahrukh was there at the stadium, so
yeah, but which reminds me, Hadh Kar Di Aapne. I was watching one of the best celebrity videos today of Rakhi Sawant, who is Karthik's neighbor in Bangalore. Did you watch it?
No, but I want to know, when you say best celebrity, do you mean best celebrity or best video of a celebrity?
Best celebrity. No, this can't be a best video. She's got a lot of other fantastic videos. Excellent videos in the language that you understand. But this video was great. She said that Sushant Singh Rajput मेरे सपने में आए थे और उन्होंने कहा कि मैं दोबारा जन्म ले रहा हूँ और जब भी तुम माँ बनोगी तो मैं तुम्हारे कोख से आऊँगा.
Oh my God!
Say this out loud.
Yes, talk about Hadh Kar Di Aapne.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Yeah, that is the shootball to this football. But let's move on.
Let's move on
to other Wolves. Wolverhampton looked amazing. Did you know this? Adama Traore left. He used to play for Barcelona reserves. He was from the academy. He was sold for £7 million to Aston Villa, I think, back in the day, before he eventually found his way to Wolverhampton for 18 million. What a bargain.
Fantastic player. Yeah, I didn't see the match actually, but I just saw the highlights.
He's a fantastic player.
No, he's an exciting player.
I don't think he's muscles or what? Muscle ke rakh dega.
He's an exciting player, yeah. I just hope now that he's at Wolves, he's also been managed by Jorge Mendes, just like all the other Portuguese in that team, so he can get a better deal the next time. And some big teams are looking for him, like Fulham. No, sorry, big teams.
That was funny. So let's move on to funnier things. Pogba and Bruno Fernandez have a love affair on the field. So do United fans off the field and on Twitter. Every time they pass to each other, it seems like they're meant to be. Will Pogba play the next game?
Yeah, I mean, he looked like the best player on the field after he came on, yeah. That glide to win the penalty. And then the referee wanted to give them another penalty for absolutely nothing. Like that idiot, whatever his name is, Neil Moss or stupidity. I think Tottenham deserved that point. But yeah, United played well, yeah, with Pogba on that. I mean, it seemed like a very average side. So yeah, 5th place is probably...
Is 5th place average? What is 9th place, Karthik?
Yeah. So see, Arsenal, we can do an entire podcast on how bad Arsenal are. And I kind of feel bad for people who support Arsenal because that club is never coming into contention. Remember there was something earlier known as Arsenal finishing 4th. Now even that is long gone. That's probably...
Yeah, Fulham ke fan ho ke tum hame Arsenal nikal dete ho. Himmat kaise hui tumhari?
Did Karthik, was it you who shared that article, because it's difficult for me to believe Siva did, about Kia Zorabician and how it's you guys should read it. Or we can send a link in one of the tweets that we do in the episodes, or maybe show notes of how he has too much control on Arsenal's transfer strategies and the fact that he also got shit player like David Luiz back to Arsenal.
And I get sometimes that clubs need to have relationships with these super agents to get you the best players. But your sporting director can't be managed by the same agent. Like there's a clear conflict there. Like Edu is managed by that guy.
Yeah.
And he's close friends with that Rahul fellow who's again on the board of Arsenal. So I think there are issues at that club. But anyway, getting back to United, they seem like they're decent. Yeah, I mean, you really can't expect more. I think it's fine with what the job Ole is doing is fine. Maybe next year things can improve. But then we saw the way Leicester played. We saw the way Chelsea played. They seem like better clubs than United at the moment.
Yeah, especially with Chelsea locking and loading players even before the transfer windows come into play. Timo Werner, Kai Havertz on the cards looks like. And what's the other guy?
Hakim Ziyech. He came in.
He's already in place. Yeah. But I loved how one of the publishers put out a statement saying Pulisic inspired Chelsea got the win. Benj, how is Pulisic inspired Chelsea? He came on after 70 minutes and scored.
But he scored for the equalizer.
How is Pulisic inspired Chelsea? I mean, Giroud did well, yeah?
If anything, Cesar Azpilicueta inspired them to do everything that they did. He got both assists. I mean, shame on Kovacic and everyone who else is in that midfield. Mount was there for 70 minutes. And then even Pulisic also, he scored great, but not much creativity there.
So yeah, he and Giroud played well.
This is a time where I miss out like spectators in the stadium to like capture John Terry's reaction after the match. I must be puzzled. I don't know what you must be doing here. Can't be happy, can't be sad. I'm gonna go back to play Fulham next season. It's just very bad for them.
Did you guys see that meme? John Terry with the T-shirt, "All Lives Matter."
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
Yeah, that show is. Anyway, after that own goal, what happened to Sheffield United? They didn't get the memo after we restarted.
Yeah, so all this at the start of the season, everyone was saying Steve Bruce, what a call manager. He's doing better than Benitez.
Yeah.
At Newcastle, they're doing pretty well. And they dominated.
Football.
Yeah.
Joelinton scored.
Joelinton scored. Yeah, let's talk about that. I don't know how many months since he last scored. Yeah.
Egan should have just let him run on to the keeper. He would have missed it anyway. I don't know why he dragged him back.
And that's why Henderson said, Joelinton gave us ball. I don't need to save this.
Oh, that was damn funny.
Defensive. I don't know what's wrong with Sheffield. I think they're okay. One match share. I mean, they're doing far better than what was expected.
And they lost one. This is not a squad that is suddenly aiming for the top 5.
So they have 1 point from 2 matches. Arsenal have none from 2 matches. So
but Arsenal is
9th.
Arsenal is 9th.
Stop talking about how Sheffield is a good, bad, ugly. They're doing pretty well for themselves. They came.
So I think pretty much it is for that 5th place, which could be a Champions League place because City currently have a ban. It's probably Wolves and Manchester United.
I don't know how you still believe that City will be.
No. So what I think is, again, I get where you're coming from, and I think the same way, but I don't think UEFA will back down. So I think the 2 years will probably become 1. But there's
Paisa will blow.
I don't know. UEFA also consider themselves pretty shady.
So that's why I'm saying Paisa.
No, so I think they will want to set a precedent that otherwise clubs will be like, how can a 2-year ban be overturned? So I think the ban will be reduced, but there will be one. I have a feeling.
I agree with Karthik partly though that ban will come into effect not this next season but the season after that. But it's going to be it will be a 1-year ban. That is what. So everybody happy, but. Apart from City because they still won't win the Champions League. So
they can still win the Champions League this year. Let's move on to people who can actually win the Champions League. What happened in La Liga, Karthik?
In La Liga, so Barcelona could only draw.
They had the best player in the world.
They do. But against Sevilla, they were poor. He was poor. Everyone was poor.
The best player was poor.
Yeah. It was a pretty awful game as well. 0-0.
How did Griezmann play?
He came on and I don't think he touched the ball. Poor chap, yeah.
Excellent.
Poor chap. But then Real Madrid had 2 pretty tricky games. One against Valencia, one against Real Sociedad, which was last night. And they ended up, they won both. Yeah. So, and I think Benzema is starring once again. It's Benzema 5.0 now. And so in effect now what?
Ramos also.
Yeah. Of course. Sergio Ramos though, but he's become the highest scoring defender ever in La Liga.
Nice. In La Liga, wow.
In La Liga.
It's incredible, yeah.
He overtook Ronald Koeman.
Correct.
I read the full stat.
So Karthik, can you explain why, in spite of Barcelona having a better goal difference, why is Real Madrid on top of the league?
Because this La Liga is based on head-to-head. So the first Clásico win is 0-0. The second Real Madrid won 2-0. So Madrid have the advantage and La Liga
is the better side then?
Currently, you have to say Real Madrid. Yeah, they're playing also so well. Barcelona, they look bereft of ideas. And I know we have praised Martin Braithwaite living his dream, but he looked like a mid-table player when you saw him against Sevilla. Like, quite honestly, you wonder why can't Griezmann get into that lineup? It seemed pretty.
I thought Griezmann is now being used in an exchange for Neymar.
And that's surprise theory, na?
Yeah. No,
this is how rumors start.
Basically, I'm going to be one of those guys who will tweet all the results, and then when the results come out, I delete everything else but the one that has come out.
People do that, or what?
Followers on Twitter.
Everybody does that. We are the only people who don't do that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if we do, who will notice?
That's
Yeah.
also true. Fleets. We'll do fleets.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
voice notes, voice tweets.
Voice
And-
notes.
So lovely. Atletico won. Yeah, that's about it.
Atletico are playing well, but they had to seal that Champions League place, which I think they're going to do now. A lot of players are scoring for them. They won 5-0, then they won.
They are
2-0,
going to win the Champions League. Yeah, why? Are you
which
worried?
is also.
Atletico.
Of
Yeah, they
course.
beat Liverpool. These are now but these are one-legged ties. Like
Anything can happen.
Play for a 0-0, get some penalties in, and you never know.
Yeah.
That is what other clubs do as strategy, but this is what Atletico do for a living. Like this. 0-0, 1 in end.
Yeah.
अरे strategy
gestures.
Strategy से याद आया. FPL की तरफ बढ़ते हैं.
एक match बाकी है.
Quickly, I'll give out the code. It's 4WGD9N. If you want to join us, play the Shootball official fantasy football league, you can go to fantasy.premierleague.com, type in the code 4WGD9N, and you can join the list of many people who are playing with us. And Sapre keeps a good count. Ayer even keeps a better count because he's right at the end of that list. So he knows how many people are above him.
It's such a bittersweet moment. All my plans of finishing in the top 10, and I've scored well, and there's one match to go, and I have 3 City players, De Bruyne being captain, so I'm hoping I'll get more points. But after the last episode, I have seen more people joining the league. So Salah, मैं आगे बढ़ ही नहीं पा रहा हूँ यार.
Where are you? You're still at 20.
No, what?
What position are you?
I am back at 92 now.
How did you get worse?
Because more people joined. So it's really sad. Also, then
How many points did you get?
I will tell you, I got decent points. I'm somewhere close to how much did you score?
I got some 94, 95 till now, but I have 3 more City players with Aguero captain who will start against Burnley and score 4 goals.
When is this match?
Tonight, 12:30.
I have 89 points with 3 City players to go. One of them is KDB, who's my captain. So I'm hoping to do 230 points or something by the end of the.
So what they score 100,000 goals, right? One game.
A lot of bonus points. All 3 players will get bonus points.
So you basically played bench boost. Karthik, what did you do?
I did play bench boost. I used my bench boost card before, and I got 3 points from bench boost when I used it.
Nice. So how did you actually get so many points?
I had a good team.
That makes sense. Karthik,
Yeah.
who's on your bench? You didn't use bench boost. No? You're one of the few people who didn't end up using bench boost.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, because what happened was the last time we were recording, immediately the deadline ended. So the recording ruined my meeting the deadline.
Okay. So who was left on your bench then?
I think all the City guys and all are stuck on my bench, and I didn't make any changes to the team. I forgot. Basically, I think it was the Wednesday, and they were 10 o'clock. I didn't know. I forgot about the Sheffield Villa game.
But you did well. You got 92 points. Sorry, I got changed to Urdu. 29 points.
His captain has been Soyuncu for 4 months. Soyuncu also doesn't keep himself captain.
Dude, he almost scored, but I was going to start jumping when he, when he did. Yeah.
There's more chance of John Terry scoring than Soyuncu.
John Terry scores, we all know.
Yeah. Okay, let's not go there. So for the upcoming fixtures, I think one thing that Sapre already touched upon is Wolves are playing Norwich City, who are leaking goals at the back.
Everton are playing Norwich.
Oh, did I say Wolves? Sorry, Everton are playing Norwich. So DCL, whose full form Sapre has no idea, and Richarlison should be in your team. If you don't like Richarlison that much and you want to stick with DCL, you can also look at Son, because Spurs is also playing West Ham United, who are also leaking goals. And my last pick, unfortunately, is Bruno Fernandez. Even though he might not end up taking the penalties once Pogba is back, and there is no way he can push himself past Pogba trying to take a penalty, he will still win those because he gets in the midst of all the action. So he'll at least do the assists and the bonus points. So these 3 are my picks. Do you guys have any other hot picks?
Sorry, hot picks is Khoto Karthik. Good choice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good choice. So he picked Aubameyang for his game against Southampton. Also, Armstrong in Southampton is actually a pretty good pick. 4 goals or something, or 4 assists in as many games. So good guy. But he's playing Arsenal, so I think he won't do more than 2 goals. So just be careful when you go there. Anyway, you know the code. It's 4WGD9N. You can find us there. You can also find us on Twitter, but we'll talk about that. And a cool story from Russia right after this break. So welcome back, guys. I know it's been a pretty longish episode and you guys weren't prepared for this. We weren't either, because we're reaching to watch City play Burnley in a couple of hours. But what we did not expect is a wild story coming out of Russia. I don't know why I'm surprised. All stories coming out of Russia are usually wild. Usually they also involve Putin. This time there might be a little cameo from Putin. And let's quickly jump into it. This was all over Twitter, so I'm guessing a lot of you might have already seen it. There was a pretty big story. But for those who haven't, there are a couple of teams in the Russian league. One's called Rostov, which is actually fighting their spot for the Champions League. And there's one called Sochi. Sochi, you guys might remember from the World Cup. They were the opening ground, the hosts.
Yes.
They also were the Sochi Winter Olympics, right?
Winter Olympics. And currently they are fighting relegation in that league.
Yes. Now the funny story is, and this is where Putin comes in, apparently they're a feeder club for Zenit St. Petersburg, which is, of course, the leaders of the league. And apparently these teams are owned by, and I quote, Putin and his cronies from this tweet. And I'll credit this guy. His name is at Slava Malamud, which is SLAVAMALAMUD, which I'm pretty sure is out of Russia because that completely adds up. Now, what basically happened was Rostov's first team got coronavirus. 6 players got coronavirus, and that means the entire squad and the management and everyone had to be quarantined, right? Now, these times are unprecedented. I mean, I do not go even on one call with work where I've not said the word unprecedented. Everyone says it, or uncertain times at best. So people are trying to be nice to each other and people are trying to be kind to each other. And Rostov basically said, hey, we're playing Sochi. But Sochi, shit went down. Everyone has coronavirus. Do you think we can skip and reschedule? Sochi said, boss, your issue. We are coming. Either you come or you will win. So Rostov said, okay, we'll put up a club. We'll put up a squad. And they basically put the youth squad, which is their oldest player is 19 years old.
Oh.
So, I mean, just older than Karthik. So insane. They have a 17-year-old goalkeeper who ended up as man of the match, and I'll come to that. These guys were all, for the last 3 months, they haven't played a game. They did not know 3 days before the game. They were literally like everyone else. They are students on Zoom calls doing lectures, and suddenly you have to play in the Premier League in Russia. Like, that's insane, right? So they turn up. They score the first goal.
Whoa!
But after that, what happened is they let in 10 goals.
Oh.
So they lost 10-1.
But you just said the kid who was goalkeeper became man of the match or the most...
Yes. He made the most saves ever to be made in the Russian Premier League game.
Oh my.
Which is 15 saves. He also saved a penalty.
Oh, nice.
So pretty good for his LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, shambles by Sochi. But the funny part is, before they actually went out to play, they put out a post. Now, this is a very funny post. I have a screenshot of this. They put out a post because they knew that kids were coming to play and they were coming with their first squad. They said, we were all kids at one point in time. The ball is round. The grass is even. Let's play. So, I don't know. They eventually took it down. But I don't know what kind of moral signaling, virtue signaling they were trying to do. Long story short, Sochi won. Rostov have now completely lost their chance to make it for the Champions League. All in all, a sad story, but that kid's arriving, Klaxon, where he made 15 saves in a game. Cool story from Russia.
Also, didn't some journalists try to patronize it by saying that this is the future of Russia and your sportsmanship and kids coming out to play? And he was thrashed as well on Twitter,
yes.
But they still got thrashing.
Yeah. He was quote tweeted, not thrashed. Different way of pulling people down. But yeah, that's it from Football Shootball. Any parting words, boys?
Yeah, I have one. We didn't mention, and this I think was done on purpose by Shivram, that Ronaldo and Juventus lost the Coppa Italia final to Gattuso's Napoli. Yeah, it was again a very, very average game. I think a lot of games after this comeback have been meh. Except Real
I
Madrid.
watched it right after penalty started, so I was fine.
Yeah.
It was a good game
Yes.
for me.
Intensely average for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like
Well,
facial expressions of all the players were like, fucking 5 goals I'll score, but hardly any.
But yeah, like you say, it's always fun to see a penalty shootout. Napoli were probably the slightly better side, so good on them.
But I'm just happy Ronaldo did not miss his penalty.
That is the best plan. He didn't take it, so how will he miss it? The best player in the world. He plans ahead. What strategy?
So there is definitely no chance Dybala is coming to United next season because we have enough players who miss penalties at United. So
That is true. And I'm very interested to see who takes the next penalty for United, which I'm sure will be in the next game. Is it Bruno or Pogba?
First half of the first half, it will be Bruno Fernandez.
Don't you think Sapre, it'll be they'll probably make a deal between themselves, like Bruno took this
Give
one.
it to Pogba.
Yeah, so now Pogba will take the next.
No.
And then you'll RT it on Twitter some 10,000 times.
No. See, this is what will happen. Pogba will score the first goal with an assist from Bruno. And Pogba will win the penalty, which Bruno will take. So, bye, chara. Everyone happy. Ole happy. Ole.
Everyone has forgotten the Rashford, the hero of England.
Rashford will then come and score some 2 goals.
What about the opposition? Is there an opposition? You're playing against 17-year-old.
I don't want to talk about how many they will score. Maguire, I don't know. I don't want to talk about them. Roy Keane has had his say on things. So
yeah, Maguire doesn't need a statue. He is a statue.
No.
But they'll eventually pull it down also, so it doesn't matter.
He's the second most expensive statue.
Who's the most expensive?
Time for us to end this episode.
Deep. So, final word. Literally final word. Get it out while you can see. So if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media handles. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I'm Fickleberry Hun on Twitter and Instagram. That's Huckleberry Finn, but Fickle.
If you want to reach out to me, I am Sapre on Twitter and G Sapre on Instagram.
You can reach out to me at iRant, which is IYERANT on Twitter and Instagram. This is Football Shootball. Recognize.